I'd like to introduce Elizabeth England, who has multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Could you tell us when you first started to notice MS symptoms?
Well, I didn't. They were there, but I didn't really take any notice of them. I think they started after I had glandular fever when I was a teenager, but I'm not particularly body aware, so I didn't think it was strange that I would fall over and have very bad headaches. I never thought it was strange, so I never. It was my husband that took me to the doctors. He thought there was something wrong with me, and the doctor thought it was oxygen deprivation at birth. That's why I was a bit wobbly. But I never thought I had any. I certainly didn't recognise there was something wrong with me, and neither did my family. And so it was a complete surprise when I was diagnosed with MS after a brain scan.
Mm-hmm. And what age were you by the time you had the scan?
32. I'm 44 now, so 32.
Okay. So how did that affect you mentally, being told you had MS?
Well, it just made me... it had the effect on me of just going into complete denial and going back to work and working very hard and just kind of pretending, well, I'm not going to take any notice of this, really. I'm just going to carry on with my career because I had a very successful career. And I was a bit upset. I was due to do a job in Singapore, and when I was diagnosed, they wouldn't let me fly. Took me straight into hospital, so I was upset that I couldn't do this high-profile job in Singapore. And the people that I work with, after the diagnosis, they didn't really understand what it was. So they just my boss gave me a very high-powered project, which, looking back, probably wasn't the best thing to do. And I just went up to work. And my father was very poorly at the time as well. So my family, I'm an only child, so my family didn't really take much notice of the diagnosis because my father was very seriously ill.
So what were your symptoms by the time you found LDN?
Well, symptoms, I think, pain in my leg, and pain in my headache as well, and mood swings. Kind of been very hormonal.
Mm-hmm. When did you find LDN?
Well, it was Paul that found LDN through research after I was prescribed Copaxone, and then he researched on the internet and found LDN, and I wasn't very keen on it because I thought I should be going down the medical route of what the establishment, if you like, were thinking. I mean, I'm trained as a scientist, so I found it quite difficult initially to get my head around the whole thing about LDN and the fact that it hadn't gone through NICE, and sort of that concerned me, and the doctors and my MS nurse wouldn't talk about it. But through Paul and through thinking about it, I decided not to take Copaxone and take LDN instead.
How long ago was that?
That was last year, February last year.
Mm-hmm. And what were your symptoms at that point?
Symptoms.
I've already asked you that, haven't I?
Yeah.
We'll have that cut out, never mind. Did you manage to get your own doctor to prescribe LDN?
No. because my doctor, I talked to her about it, and she said that she wasn't able to do taking it.
Mm-hmm. What about your pain?
I can't honestly say. It had, maybe initially it had an impact on pain, but at the moment I've got a gynecological issue, which I don't know how long that's been around, Linda, and I know that's knocking into the MS.
Mm-hmm.
So the levels of pain are still quite severe.
Mm-hmm. What about your other symptoms? Has LDN helped relieve any of those?
So in terms of walking, then I still get problems in my legs when I don't walk so well. Headaches, I have seen a dramatic improvement in headaches. I used to have headaches all the time prior to LDN, so I don't have headaches like I used to have. Very occasionally I'll get a real belting headache, but that is the exception. I used to get massive headaches all the time, every day. I just survived on painkillers all the time.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have any problems with your bladder?
Yes, and yes, actually, yes, good point. I have had bladder stability, and if that, I think, yeah, and I take the water to manos, but yes, the bladder stability this year has been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot more problems last year with it. So yeah, the bladder has been a success.
And what about fatigue?
Fatigue, that goes in waves. I think LDN helped the fatigue initially a lot. But as I say, more recently, since I've had this other gynae problem, then I have had some fatigue. So I'd say, yeah, I'd summarise that, Linda, and say the bladder and the levels of fatigue improved dramatically since taking the LDN.
So how would you say LDN has helped your quality of life?
Well, just on the bladder front, massively. I wouldn't like to stop taking it. I'd be very scared to stop taking the LDN. And really, I suppose that's the only true measure that I would be able to find as if I stopped taking it. I do have MS symptoms a lot, but I'm sure I'd have more if I didn't take LDN.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you say to other people who are contemplating trying LDN but might be a little bit scared?
Well, I'd say you've got to try it for yourself. There's no harm that can come to you. And to do the research and to look at all the sites and the testimonials that are available through you, and also that Bahari's work on the internet, definitely. And then to make an informed choice. And I mean, I think politically, the reason LDN hasn't been too nice is political. Nothing to do with the effectiveness of the drug. And there's no money in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Elizabeth, and I hope you get all your problems sorted out soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Linda. Nice to talk to you.
You too, yeah?
Yeah.